Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast of two guys in their 20s, giving their perspective on the games that we love, the headlines of pop culture, and the meaning behind it all. I'm host Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart Savon Morris. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good, man. It's going pretty good.
You don't have any lengthy explanation, any motto you're gonna give?
No. Today's podcast is brought to you by
let's go, advertisement. We need it.
Right. Eventually.
But as always, we have a lot of topics to get into today. Some NFL ones, NBA, some album reviews, and also in the second half we're going to do a review of Atlanta season 3. To start off with just thoughts on Lamar Jackson's contract extension developments. There's been the recent report about him stopping contract negotiations when the regular season starts, and Jackson hasn't provided any other updates on contract talks, and he's also one of the few high-profile NFL players that doesn't have an agent. But what are your thoughts on this situation for Lamar Jackson, and just kind of like how much should he be paid, and just like what he's really wanting in this upcoming deal?
It's a bit tricky when it comes to Ravens organization paying quarterbacks, but I didn't know that part, that he did not have an
agent.
An agent. I thought he had an agent. I thought he had an agent for the entire time, but I definitely think he's top 7 quarterback in the NFL right now. You look what he's done entering into the league, leading his guys to the playoffs, being rookie rookie of the year, the whole 9. I think he's well deserving. I think what we've seen from Cam Newton and RG3 and those dual threat quarterbacks, I think he's in that realm. Even with Kyler Murray, he's in that tier. And I think a lot of older guys or older people around the league saying that no wide receiver wants to go there. They can't pay the guys. Mm-hmm. They can't pay big time wide receivers, and I understand it. Not because Lamar Jackson can't throw them the ball. I think his percentage rate has risen each season he's been in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And of course he's not going to have the big throwing numbers because he's a dual threat quarterback.
Yeah.
But I think he's not worth the Patrick Mahomes 10-year.
Yeah.
He's not
that
there
level.
yet. He's not there yet. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. He hasn't been almost to the Super Bowl multiple years because, Patrick Mahomes' track records is crazy. Just I don't want to compare the two because they're different in styles.
He's been in the AFC Championship like every year of his career, which is like that's a regular occurrence for him. Just AFC Championship. I know I'm gonna be there.
He's been in 2 Super Bowls.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
definitely.
But speaking on Lamar's behalf, I think he's worth that big 40 million, 40, close to 45 in between. I think 35, 40 guaranteed contract over at least 3 to 5 years, because they'll continue to funnel out running backs. They'll continue to funnel out tight ends and getting guys in there. And I think Lamar Jackson has longevity. He's been banged up a couple times, but I think he has the longevity. He's been doing this since he was high school, so he knows what he's doing. But I think him putting the contract talk to side and focus on the season, I think that's maturity level right there, man. To be able to put that to the side and just worry about W's and L's and get into the Super Bowl. But after this season, once he goes another 11-5, 11-6 or 11-7, because it's 17 games. But I think they can win 10, 11 games. Yeah. Marcus Peters is back. The defense is looking healthy. Humphreys is back. He looking healthy. Mm-hmm. J.K. Dobbins is back. I'm excited for what he can do. So once Lamar Jackson continue to prove what he can do and take that team, they got to pay him.
Yeah,
they have to pay him.
It eventually has to happen, because you even look at what happened this past year. That they were able to get past Tennessee, lost to Buffalo. In terms of just like where that team ranks, like among the other elite teams, because you have like Buffalo, you have the Kansas Cities. Like, where do you see them in that pack, and just like what does he have to do to get to that Mahomes level, or close to that Mahomes and Josh Allen level?
He's there.
Yeah,
I think the difference is
in terms of like playoff accomplishments, I should say. Yeah,
playoffs accomplishments. You look at what the Chiefs does and the Buffalo Bills with Allen. They have a good foundation on both sides. If you look at the defensive side of the Ravens, Marcus Peters was out, Marlon Humphreys was out for the season. They had a lot of missing pieces, and then you account to Hollywood dropping like 10,000 passes last year in his hands. So it's a lot of things that goes in account for him not being able to go to that AFC Championship or even going to the Super Bowl. I think in his short career so far, he has exceeded expectations in my eyes, and just continue to put in those pieces. That's what it's just the little pieces that you have. Yeah, the continuation. When you look at when they won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco played good ball in the playoffs, but it was the defense.
The defense carried him.
The defense stepped up, so that's what they're lacking right now.
His turnovers were down. Like he didn't have like any like interceptions at one stretch during that playoff run, which is insane.
Joe Flacco
only Joe
crazy.
Montana did that. Only Joe Montana was the only other quarterback to do that.
He had to play that because every time Joe Flacco, he didn't show up most cases. He was he was still in his car, in the stadium. But
Joe, you got to come out. You got to come out, Joe. You got to come out, Joe.
You better come out for the Jets too. But but I do think, man, I think the Ravens are there. We've seen it. Everybody thought the Ravens were going to take a dip because they drafted Lamar Jackson, and they had RG3 right behind him his first season to kind of give him that look as well. But man, I think the Ravens are up there with Kansas City Chiefs and with the Bills. It's just that defensive side. Kansas City defense is not that great, but in that playoff run when Tyrann Mathieu was with them, they had the other D Ford, all these guys, they went bananas.
Yeah,
they went bananas. Same thing with the Bills. Bills has an excellent defensive line, front seven. Their secondary it's okay, but I like Michael Hyde. He's been consistent in the secondary for many years for the Bills after leaving the Packers. But that's the difference. Defense does win championships, and I think if everybody's healthy and they continue to put those pieces, they're gonna continue to grow and get to the promised land. And I think Lamar Jackson can win a Super Bowl in this lifetime.
Definitely,
we've seen it. Yeah, we've seen it. So
absolutely. And now getting into Zach Wilson's knee surgery and kind of like the impact of it on the Jets. Wilson was diagnosed with a meniscus tear and a bone bruise after a non-contact injury last Friday night against the Eagles. Wilson's arthroscopic knee surgery Tuesday was deemed a success with no surprises from the original diagnosis. But what are your thoughts on this surgery and just, the Jets avoiding a nightmare scenario with their young quarterback?
Oh man, they're counting the blessings. They looking up above. Thank you, God, because they invested a lot. Hands raised and all. They invested a lot in Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
and the last year's record doesn't show it. I mean, the guy's not a savior. He's not Jesus. He's not Jesus Shuttleworth either. But 4-13 last year, 0-6 in the AFC East. Second year, you got some other guys in there. They drafted Michael Carter. I think he's going to be a good running back. Elijah Moore, Corey Davis is coming off a decent season last year. So they had the upside. And then your star quarterback, who you invested so much in, Zach Wilson, and he goes down with a meniscus tear. Luckily, it wasn't a torn ACL. Meniscus tear, you could come back in between, I think it's 4 to 6 weeks, or if depending on his rehab, it could be 6 to 10 weeks. But I think
the timetable might change.
Yeah, it might change, but he can come back this year. But they have a able and willing, tender Joe Flacco, who's a Super Bowl winner, who knows how to control the offense, who can keep these young guys together. He's a veteran quarterback. I think Joe Flacco can get you at least 2 to 3 wins until.
You remember when Skip Bayless used to call him Joe Fluco?
You know who he is, bro. I try to say that with a straight face, Wellington, and didn't work. I do think he can give them 2 to 3 wins. Looking at their schedule, I mean, their schedule's not that tough,
right?
But just I know that how much the Jets invested in Zach Wilson, and I mean they do play Baltimore, they play Cincinnati, Pittsburgh might be a Steeler this year, and then you got Miami, Green Bay, Denver, New England, Buffalo, and then it gets a little tough for them. But I think second half. Before he gets back, I think they can win some games with Joe Flacco. Because Joe Flacco is once again able, and he's a veteran quarterback. He knows the way around an offensive playbook. They got him for a reason, to be a backup. So I think they'll be fine until Zach Wilson gets acclimated and gets back into rehab and get back on the field with his guys. Because I think he was going to have a decent season this year. 1 year under his belt.
He was set up for it. He was definitely set up for it.
He's definitely not with Sam Darnold. I hope he doesn't do the Sam Darnold effect, or Josh Rosen effect.
Oh my
These
goodness.
guys first year was terrible, and then the second year were terrible. Third year, fourth, and you take his on. So hopefully he comes back and he can get back into the swing of things because they invested a lot in this kid.
Yeah, this was a heavy investment.
Heavy investment. I didn't like the pick, to be honest with you, BYU guy. Strength of schedule it's a joke. But he's a high flinging.
It's like you hear
guy.
BYU. It's like BYU. I haven't even watched any BYU games this year. No. I wasn't watching that on Saturday.
Don't get me wrong, he does check boxes, but it's just like it was so many other quarterbacks in that draft they could win after who could bring been a better option. Yeah, I would have got Trey Lance, to be honest with you. Dual threat quarterback, but San Francisco got him, luckily. But now we just have to live with drafting Zach Wilson, and we'll see how that goes. Meniscus tear second year, so
it's a wait and see. It's a wait and see.
We gotta wait and see for that one.
And also the breaking news of today was Deshaun Watson, and that new finding and suspension, 11-game suspension, also fined a $5 million. Like in terms of what this total outcome, because we talked about this a couple weeks ago, what the original suspension was, and now with what it was being like. What are your thoughts on it? Like, did it surprise you how many games they did? Because we both thought it would be more, and it eventually would come to this type of decision from the NFL and the NFLPA.
Why not the whole season?
Yeah, why not go the whole way? Why not go the whole way?
Yeah, 11 games.
What's the point?
Yeah, because I don't see them making the playoffs. I just don't see them making the playoffs. I don't see the running game help them that much with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt if Kareem Hunt stays. Right. I just don't think their defense is enough with Myles Garrett. I just don't think they're enough to get to 9 games or win 9 out of 11 and then try to finish strong on the back end 7 because chemistry is a mug. Even if you go in OTAs, minicamp, you need a season long to get the chemistry with your wide receivers, running back handoff, with your offensive linemen, getting their trust. It's a lot that goes into being a starting quarterback. You need all the time you get. If you're suspended 11 games, you try to come back to 12th game. Hopefully, it's not a game they don't come back to. But it's gonna. Why not? You might as well just gave him the entire season.
The amount of games. I was like, just do 6, do the entire season. Like why are we doing like 95% of the season and then just the last 5 or 6? That's when he can come back. Like that just did not make any sense to me.
Yeah, he'll come back against Houston. I mean, it's not a bad game, but their schedule is pretty tough too. This year with the Browns, but it didn't make it. I guess for the Browns, it was they were happy they get their starting quarterback back. They have to pay him, and then Deshaun is the same way. He has to get paid. He has to play in order to get paid. So I think for both parties, they get their starting quarterback, get him in the game, and then Deshaun starts getting paid from his contract. But 11 games, that's interesting. They landed on 11 games. They agreed to it, but didn't sign it yet. So interesting. I thought it was. I was like 11 games. I know it's 17 games, but they ain't gonna make the playoffs. Like he's gonna make the playoffs. Come on, man.
Yeah. Definitely. And now transitioning to the NBA and just kind of, thoughts on Giannis's comments about being open to play for the Bulls later in his career. In promoting his new ambassadorship with the telehealth company Antidote Health, Giannis was asked by Fox 32 Chicago about the potential of playing for the Bulls in the future. And while reiterating his commitment to the Bucks, he said, "quote I think anybody who asked that question that plays basketball, if he said no, he'd be a liar. It's a team that won multiple championships. It's a team that had one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player ever to play this game," end quote. But what are your initial thoughts on Giannis, saying this and looking down the road if that moment ever comes? Because a lot of players say like, "Hey, like I'll think about that, one day down in my career when it gets to that point." At that, he's obviously so far away from that because he's still in his prime. Right. Like, what are your thoughts on just those comments? Because sometimes like that may just be just a slight comment that's not that serious, and other times it might be foreshadowing something that might happen.
Well, he's Greek. To just throw that out there, he's Greek. He's not going to hold anything back. You ask him a question, he's going to tell you the truth.
Not subtle.
I think it's so dope that he said that, though. And I say that because a lot of players want to say that.
Yeah.
Or like, if KD would have came out after they would have lost to when they lost to the Warriors and they came back or whatever. He was like, you know what? I think I just want to play with the Warriors now. I think people would respect him more. Yeah, I think people would respect him more.
Game.
Like, I want to play for them for this reason, not because we lost to them or I'm jumping ship, but I know with my game and their game, we could get a championship. If LeBron said, well, I'm taking my talents to Miami, if he would have gave a reason like, I'm taking my talents to Miami because Cavaliers didn't help me out. They didn't give me anybody. Like, if players were more, I think now if there's a stage now where players can be more transparent, they have more power when it comes to conducting their deals. They have more power to say things in the public. Obviously, you can't say certain things, but they're more open to saying things. And then you have these podcasts and platforms and social media that you can just,
say something that goes viral.
Say something. Something that goes viral. But I love the transparency that Giannis said. He's not saying now, but later in his career. And I think the Bucks fans should be okay with that. He got you a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Got your championship.
Yeah.
Maybe he get you a 1 or 2 more. Maybe. If Chris Middleton stays healthy and they add some more guys, sure they possibly get another one. But I love the transparency. The players are having a stage now where they can say certain things because, I don't think if Dame, see how Dame said it too, like why he didn't leave. That transparency. Some players would just left it and just let it die, like not saying anything. But I love the transparency now these players are kind of honing into or allowing themselves to say now that it's a comfortable space. They got the platform.
Whatever they want to say, whenever they want to say it.
And LeBron said it. Next, when Bronny get in the league, that's the team I'm playing for.
Yeah.
Transparency.
Like people can accept that, like at this moment now, like knowing that when he comes in, like that's the team LeBron's gonna be on, and like he already told you guys that a couple years ago.
No surprise whatsoever. Oh, Bron, what are you doing? You already know what I'm doing. As soon as he gets in the league, wherever he goes, there's a club. If he's smart enough, he just renewed his contract. If he's smart enough,
we're talk about that. Yeah,
we talked about that. Him having a clause in his contract to be able to, like, when my son gets it, I will even give up $20 million or whatever amount it is to go play with my son.
Yeah. I mean, you literally just transitioned it into the next segment. Because, I mean, like...
I'm sorry.
Nah. Like, this is that flow, that effortless flow. This is that effortless flow, man. This is Savon M. Like, this is the man. This is... I mean, but looking at this latest deal that LeBron signed, it's 2-year, $97.1 million extension, and it also includes a player option for the 2024 to 25 season. Like looking at this deal overall, and just kind of like LeBron's in that later phase of his career where he's still obviously playing at a high level, but now the question is like, what is he gonna do? How is his game going to develop, and what does he actually want to accomplish going forward? Like, what were your thoughts on this deal and just like what the later stages of LeBron's career will look like?
And I love cross-referencing different sports and different things in life. Like we talked about Drake, what more can he do?
Yeah.
He has nothing to prove. LeBron James has nothing to prove.
Done it all.
Nothing till he's done it all. It's like Troy Polamalu said it the same way. He was like, when I knew I did everything to get better at football, that's why I knew I would retire. He was like, maybe I went down in the box. I played back. I played in the mic position. I did all this. I created this blitz. He was like, oh, I did that already. Oh, okay. And then once you have really mastered the game, there's nothing more for you to do. There's nothing that will hinder or take away from his legacy.
Yeah.
He's solidified. I won't say he's the greatest of them all, but I know he's one of them.
He's one of them. He's in that class. One of them. He's at that table.
He's definitely at that table. Feet kicked up, cigar with some red wine.
Talk to me nice.
Talk to me nice. Shut up and dribble.
Yeah, literally.
He's solidified,
exactly.
man.
Yeah,
so
solidified.
At this point, I don't know. He's just waiting for Bronny to get there. I believe it's part of his ego. Like, oh, I can play until I'm this age. But I think half of it's like, I'm waiting for my son. I'm waiting for Bronny. And he can hold off to Bryce get there. That'd be so dope, bro.
Oh, my goodness.
Something Michael Jordan couldn't do.
What MJ couldn't.
Hey,
Yeah, we
listen,
said it.
yo, if LeBron James sons get to the league and do something, he's the greatest.
He's a goat. He's a goat.
We said that
I'm
here.
putting. I'm
Like, I
putting.
want that to be the headline,
Yes.
bro.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's the
want that to be
headline.
the
That's the
headline, bro.
headline. Yeah, that's
If
gonna be a
Bronny
headline.
gets to the league and he does remotely good, just averaging maybe 18, 19 points and whatever he does good,
I want y'all to say something to when that clip goes up. I want y'all to say why we're crazy, but it's gonna be true. It's gonna be
it's
true.
gonna be
If it happens, it's gonna be
extremely
true.
true. It's gotta be true. Because he doesn't do nothing.
Oh my god.
Man, come on, bro. Like, that's crazy. But
Yeah.
no, but what else? He doesn't have anything to prove. Nothing else to do. His IQ is crazy. He can still jump out the rim, jump out the gym. Like, he's somebody, like, it's nothing for him to do.
And that's another thing I wanted to say. You're talking about it in rap, and even how we're seeing it, with LeBron, in the NBA. Like, when these players, athletes, entertainers, when they get to the top and there's nothing left for them to prove, like, do you think they miss those days when they're like, man, I had to show what I could do? Like, I had to make a statement and be like, hey, this is why I'm that guy. Or do you think it's one of those things where they're just like, just so settled in what they are now, and they can look back at it like, yeah, like, this is what I had to do, and I'm comfortable being at the top? Or is it one of those things where it's just like, I still miss that feeling of having to show like why I'm that guy?
I think once you get to that point in your journey and you've done it for so long, that's the boast right there. Like, it's not a point where people already know what you can do.
Oh yeah,
people know you. Like, LeBron is still that guy to this day. Mm-hmm. People know Drake. It can't miss anything he put his voice to, except that last album.
It's gonna be a hit.
It's gonna be not like it's going. So it is not about like. I think it's not even a remembrance thing, because people remember for you. Like, Lil Wayne doesn't write any of his stuff. Like, he was in an interview and interview guy was telling one of his lyrics. He was like, I said that. He was like, hey, you said that. He was like, oh, that's nice. I don't remember what I said or why I said it. Oh, that's nice. So it's just like, people will remind you of your greatness. You don't have to say stuff.
Yeah.
Mike doesn't have to say anything. He just wants to, but people know Mike still got it. Mike can still get on the court and give you 30. Mm-hmm. So it's not about them trying to prove people that they can still, or show the people they still got it. People remember who you are.
Yeah.
That grind those years, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that grind
the reward is the success. The reward is just being able to be like, hey, I'm here. I'm among one of the greatest. Even if I'm not the greatest, you have to put me in that conversation. Right.
And you, like, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. So
definitely.
Nah, I don't think, LeBron James, they know LeBron James that guy.
If you get,
they know Steph that guy.
Steph too. Imagine if Steph plays with his kid.
I know. But the beauty about that, like, when Steph had to prove people that he can shoot that, I think Iman Shumpert, he was like, man, let him shoot that. Let him shoot it. And he started knocking them down.
I bet that was the best feeling in the world for Steph, when people were just like, oh yeah, give him that.
Give him that. And then once you start hitting it,
now we got to respect him.
Everybody knows. You want to.
It reminds me of that one play in the 2015 finals when it was at a timeout, and they were going. You know how both sides are heading to the bench, and Steph was just shooting a warm up shot, and LeBron made sure to block it because he said he was mic'd up. LeBron said, "I don't want him getting comfortable with anything. I don't want him getting comfortable with anything, because if he sees one go down, it's a wrap.
It's over with.
It's a wrap.
That confidence booster.
Yeah,
that confidence booster. It's crazy, man.
Definitely. And now getting into our first album review with the games of Drillmatic, in his 10th studio album after several, pushbacks due to sample clearances and personal issues that game was transparent about. This also is his second longest album and executive produced by Hit Boy, with some of the different beats that, flow from one to another, adding a place that, takes the listener through moods made for Los Angeles, New York City, and even Chicago. But what were some of your initial thoughts on this album? I mean, this was a 31 track album, a lot of different music songs. I mean, when I saw the track list, I was like, I know Savon is gonna be like, man, like, what this album right here. But what were some of your thoughts on it and the production with Hit Boy executive producing it?
Man, first and foremost, I said that before last week. Game can rap. Game has always been a top tier lyricist, bar guy ever. And then, Hit Boy getting on this thing, like, production was crazy. Like, Yeah, this album was extremely too long. Extremely too long. I didn't. I
Way too
stopped at the Black Slim Shady.
yeah.
I stopped at Black Slim Shady. But I do say these songs really talk to me nice when Meek on there. Meek went dumb stupid.
Oh yeah, Meek went crazy.
Um,
Meek reminded y'all.
Pusha T verse surprised me
Yes.
on No Man Falls.
With 2
I
Chainz.
liked his verse. Yeah, 2 Chainz. Man, 2 Chainz so underrated, bro. 2
He's
Chainz
so
verses
under.
be
We
nice,
need to
bro.
really talk about that. He's so underrated, man.
2
So
Chainz
underrated.
is underrated, man. Like
Yeah.
2 Chainz will give you a pen now. 2 Chainz will give you 2 Chainz will give you a verse now.
Oh my goodness, man.
But this was solid.
Yeah, it
I mean,
was.
I have to finish the 21 through 58, but
Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's just like
too long,
I
man.
the songs that I like, I'm like, man, if you had just had this and added maybe a couple more and this had been like a 16, 17 track album, I thought it would have been really good. But it's
Yes.
just the fact that like there was no consistent theme throughout this. And then
No.
and that was the thing. Like even with the Black Slim Shady, like what were your thoughts on that diss track? Because that was a 10-minute already on a 31 song album. You got a 10-minute diss track that I felt like was out of place.
That diss track was weak.
It was super weak, man. It was
It
one of
was
the
weak
weakest diss
sauce,
tracks.
bro. Yes, bro. And the voice, I was annoyed. I know he was trying to be like Slim Shady, but I was like,
It
bro.
didn't work.
But he had a couple bars in there. I will say that. But
He's always gonna bring the bars.
he did an episode. That's a podcast episode right there, bro. I'm gonna hear you go 10 minutes
Which one
talking
you
like
want
Slim
to
Shady.
do?
Hey, bro. But you're right. It didn't have a theme.
Mm-mm.
Like it didn't like transition into. It was just like, all right, I'm gonna put these. You know how you like something
He had to
puts in the
add
chronological order for you.
the Drake voice note about why Drake couldn't be on the album. It's like, man, gotta help the Ministry of Defense for Canada. Can't be on the album. But getting into kind of like our last thoughts on this album, like were there any like standout? Obviously, like you mentioned a few standout tracks and standout verses. Like, were there any like main standout ones or kind of like some verses on here that you thought like were the strongest from Game or even any more features?
I like No Man Falls, Chrome Slugs with Lil Wayne. Excuse me. Burning Checks. Excuse me. I think it was a sleeper to me.
With Fabio, wasn't that? That one was Fabio.
I'm starting to like him in that drill.
Yeah.
Type vibes. It's different, and then I love how they incorporate both sounds together to come out and make a song. Yeah. Money Cash Clothes was dope. I like A$AP Rocky. I like A$AP Rocky's verse, but the one I liked most was Talk to Me Nice and the one with No Man Falls, because I like Pusha's verse and I like
Pusha killed that.
Well, those two are my favorite.
Definitely. This was just, as we said, this was the album. It could have 15 songs could have been cut, and it just would have been really simple. Because there definitely was potential on this project. I just think if he would have had a consistent theme and just maybe something more concise, it would have been really good. As we always say,
let it flow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And getting into Danger Mouse and Black Thought's Cheat Codes album, in this new collab album, it was just a really terrific project that just had, sample-based aesthetics and formal brilliance with thrill classicists, plus being just a concise project that had guest appearances from Raekwon, Run the Jewels, and Conway the Machine. And to me, like this album, like Black Thought, he's a really underrated rapper. He's one of those rappers that can just really go bar for bar with any rapper they can put up in that conversation. And I thought this was just a really thoroughly done project. The beat selection was really good. The track list, everything. I mean, I went back and listened to this album a lot because I just thought this was just a purely well done type of project. But what were some of your initial thoughts on it and just some of the things that stood out to you in it?
Pure hip hop. And I love when purists of hip hop can like put the teeth in the beat production and just go stupid. First of all, I love the features. Crazy. Joey Badass.
He's just having an incredible year. He's just having an
for serious. For serious. And then he had Russ.
Russ, yeah, I loved Russ's verse, man.
Russ is like, because when I first started hearing of Russ, it was more like the singing rap, but
Yeah.
his album really showed me that he can rap.
Oh, Chomp 2.
And this, yeah, and this,
My
and
goodness,
this, and
man.
this his verse on this was really
It was
dope. That
nice.
yeah, okay, I know where you started at, and I know where you transitioned to get yourself out there, but you got to remind people, okay,
Oh yeah, that was
the
a
pen
reminder
still
verse.
works.
That
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
reminder verse.
pen still works.
Because sometimes with Russ, it's like, okay, like which side is he actually on in terms of like what his style is going to be. This one, he just showed you like, hey, like I can still rap with the best of them.
I can rap, and then what we doing? Just rapping? Let me hear the beat. Oh yeah,
Let me go.
okay.
Let me go.
Because he's a purist too. Like I love. I mean, I want to say ASAP is not a purist, but Joey Badass is a purist. Raekwon obviously purist. And these fellas here that I'm kind of trying to get acclimated to and listen to more of their music. But yeah, this was a solid album. Beat production is crazy. It had a motive.
Which one? I know we really like this album, but which one stood more out to you? Like stood out more to you? Was it the production or the actual lyricism from Black Thought?
Oh, lyricism, bars. Like I know both of them play hand in hand, because if you got great bars or great words you're writing, and the beat is just like, But I think I listen to more of what the rapper is saying than I listen to the beat. Obviously, the beat is the first thing you hear, but I like to hear what they're actually talking about, and then he's talking about some real stuff.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so I think the lyricism is more important for me for this album. Obviously, the beats and production is dope, but what he's talking about, and then the cover art really stood out to me. I'm like, yo, this is creepy. This is really creepy, brother. But it catches your eye.
It catches your eye. I love what they did. They didn't leave no there was no stone unturned in this one. Every part of it, they made sure to get your attention, make sure the production was solid, and Black Thought is underrated. I'm gonna keep saying it. That dude's gold.
This should be on a vinyl. That's what
I was saying. It gives you that feel of like you're going in a record store. You get, man, this is special.
You're like, bro, what is this? And then you find out there's a rap album. I'm like, what? Because it looks like the Beatles with some other.
That's what I would say. It has a Beatle cover. It's a Beatle cover. Was it the Beatles? Was it a Paul McCartney? But also now getting into Ari Lennox's new single Hoodie. This new single follows her last single, Pressurelicious, and she's also said recently that her new album is done and almost ready to be put out. With this second single though, and what she was trying to do in it, and obviously like the feel that she's able to put in all of her music. Like what were some of the things that stood out to you in this one, and just also like what you're looking forward to in her next project?
I've been loving on her for a while, and her voice is so old school.
It is.
It reminds you like the 50s and the 40s, and her voice is just, it's just something about it, I think. And then she's so versatile that she can fit on anything. It can be hip hop, it can be blues if she wanted to, it can do anything. Like I think she's already showed her range first and foremost. And she showed her versatility. So I think this album is just continuation of doing that. And I think her music is a vibe, but I think it can stand the test of time, especially her first EP. Mm-hmm. So I'm ready for this album. Not as highly anticipated as SZA, but I do think
I was about to say that. I hate to do that. Like when there's one album that you really want to hear, but then there's another one that's come like that's good, but this is the one I'm really waiting on. Like that's almost how it was back in last year with CLB. Like how every week we were talking about we just want to hear CLB. That's like
No, exactly, bro. And then we got it, and then I'm like, I gotta re-listen to it because I don't think this ain't what I was waiting for. But no, I think it's no knock against her though. But I think I'm waiting for this album to drop. But I like Hoodie, and I like Pressure. Like I love her music. Like I don't think you feel as though these were
the right two singles to build up before her album. Okay.
Yes, especially Hoodie.
Yeah.
I think Hoodie was a nice track to guide us into the. And then when I looked at the track list or just like the available list, that it's number 2 on the album. So that's a good idea.
Gonna flow well. That's gonna
Yeah,
flow well.
because now we're already introduced to like the first half of the album, low key with Hoodie, and then okay, now we get into the meat and potatoes. Excuse me. But
Definitely.
no, I think like she can't miss for me. Like
Oh
I'm
no,
like
she's
that
one of
type of
those top
fan.
ones.
Yeah,
Her
she's
like
my I'm
Snow.
that
I
type of
mean,
fan.
she's in that upper echelon of female R&B because I mean, female R&B
Hmm.
for the last couple years just been phenomenal. The albums we've
They've been
gotten,
running the game.
Jasmine Sullivan. I mean, they really haven't missed. And obviously with RN SZA coming up, I think it's gonna be another really good year for them.
Dudes, y'all better step it up. All I gotta say,
What do you
they
think about male
whooping
R&B right
y'all.
now? Like the state of male R&B. Like where do you think it's currently at in terms of just like some of the standouts and the ones who can actually improve?
It's not there. You don't excuse me. You have like
Because
3 or
Diddy
4,
had
right?
that tweet. Diddy had that viral tweet of who killed R&B.
I don't know who killed R&B. It definitely wasn't T-Pain. I tell you that.
Diddy's at that point where he's just gonna
Excuse me.
randomly say stuff like, "Hey, who did it? Who did it? Who killed it?"
I
I want to
don't know,
know.
man. I don't know who did it, but it's only like 3 or 4 guys, known guys who are kind of like trying to carry the torch. That's Brent, Giveon, Chris Brown still, and Miguel is in and out. Miguel ain't dropped nothing recent, so I can't put Miguel in it. But those are the 3 people that's still in the public eye who's putting out music that that is, I think, is true R&B. I think Brent Faiyaz's music is definitely true R&B.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, women are killing it. It's like 10 women that is like killing the game right now.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I don't know who killed the state of R&B, but the women are reviving it or trying to revive it, and
to a different level.
they're doing it. They're doing their stuff. Shanae, SZA, Ari, Snow.
I kind of want another Janae album.
Me too.
It's been a minute since we got Yolanda, which I still listen to, but that'll be something else.
There's a bunch of female artists that are just killing R&B right now. Thank God, because we would have R&B. We'll just have to be.
Where would it be? But now getting into our last review with Leon Thomas and Ty Dolla $ign's new song Love Jones. You know, in this new track, you know, you have Thomas digitizing his vocals, bearing screw sound for a tender cut that kind of conveys his respect for a certain woman. And looking at this track and just the overall feel of it, you got 2 artists kind of combining their own type of style and you know, prowess in this track. How did you feel about it, and just kind of like what were the main elements that popped out to you?
Yeah, it's excuse me, it's good to finally hear him out in the public eye with his music. He'll drop here and there, but he has written so much music for artists.
Yeah.
So it's really dope for him to be out in the public eye, to be able to show what he can really do as an individual artist. But I thought this track was all right. It was better. It was a better duo with them than Ty Dolla $ign and Division.
He's gonna keep mentioning that. He's gonna keep mentioning that.
But I do think it was a better duo. I think the middle of the I want to call it a bridge, but the middle of the song, the production got excuse me, got I don't know what's wrong with my voice.
No, you're good.
COVID.
Savon. We got this, man. We got you, bro. We got you.
I keep forgetting we're on video, so I can't run away. Oh my gosh. I keep saying, excuse me. If we were on air, like we're on air live, we're on air. I would have been fired. Like, okay, Savon, let's go to the break. Savon, keep coughing.
Let's cut. This had the production was kind of like underground, like the beginning of it. It almost had like an underground, you know what I mean? Like that serene feel, like you're almost like underwater in a sense.
Oh, for sure. And then in the middle kind of got like into Ty Dolla $ign's.
Yeah, his back.
Yeah, his ways and how he likes his stuff. And I thought, I mean, it was okay. It was a okay song. It was. I just want to hear him. No. Because Ty Dolla $ign can't just get on everybody thing and just make it a hit. He ain't Drake or T-Pain. But no, I thought it was a better duo. But I thought this song, it's not something I like replay, to be honest with you, like on a repeat. But I do love that Leon Thomas is in the public eye.
Yeah, and that's the reason I really want to review, because to get him back in that space, it's really good for music.
especially when he made so much money writing people's songs and doing all this stuff. Like,
finally
be
go
able
out
like,
on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back with our Atlanta season 3 review. Welcome back to the show, and now we're getting into our Atlanta season 3 review, and to kind of just like start off with just initial thoughts on this, and just looking at how 4 years have passed since the second season aired. The narrative logic has been kind of like the biggest focus of where the show would go. With having Paperboy headlining a European tour, and overall this was kind of like more of a meta season with the anthology episodes and exploring commercial success as oppression. But what were some of your initial thoughts on this season? Because this season did get a lot of pushback in terms of it being different, not seeing the main cast as much. Because that's one of the main things. People are like, we're not seeing the main cast. We're not expecting to see what we usually see. But this was different, and I feel as though it explored something that it'll lead up to for the final season. But what were some of your initial thoughts on it?
I love the way they did that. Like, he implemented so many things that are going on in America. Especially the scene. I think it was like the second episode when the kid got adopted that actually happened. And
the first episode,
yeah, they was trying to kill they ran off the road. That really happened, and them hugging like but it didn't register that's what he was doing. And I was like, yo, this looks familiar, but it's funny, especially when the kids were in the car. Yeah, so but I love the way they interchange, because it keeps you like, it doesn't like get boring, but it keeps you attached to it. Yeah, engaged. Because it was so many storylines that it was crazy.
So many
thrown at you. Different angles. I love the fact that you don't see the characters or the main characters as much, because everybody has their own thing going on. You see Zazie has 2 episodes on her own. Paperboy has one where he goes off with somebody it's not even real. Like, you just like, and you get Liam Neeson. It was here, and he's racist in it. Don't even like black people, so that threw me off.
Oh man, Liam!
I was caught in the middle. I was like, "Ain't no way he just said that. He better be doing it. He just be acting." But I said in real life. But no, I thought it was really dope that they didn't show. Especially the episode with Kevin. Rest in peace to Mr. Kevin. Kevin Samuels. His episode was really dope, and it really highlighted.
That was one of the
that was one of the good ones
of the season.
One
of the main. It had one of the biggest takeaways in it, and it's one of those messages that it's put deep in there, and you kind of have to wait to like see it revealed. It was one of those episodes that I think it almost had the most divide and the most draw in terms of like, hey, this is getting a lot of talk, this is stirring up, and it was able to get done what it needed to.
Yeah, and it happens a lot.
Yeah,
you identify with one group, but you don't know your true. Like, it's like you not knowing your true identity and knowing your history, and you put in a situation where now you have to. Like, it was touching, and I understood it, and it was so funny. It was so funny.
When they were drilling him though with all those questions.
The most ridiculous questions, and I was like, bro, I know all of these, but this is so funny. Oh my gosh. But I love that, because they touch on a lot of political subjects that people don't want to talk about in regular conversation,
shy away from.
And he's been doing that since season 1. I love it. Definitely. I love the way they do things.
And another thing with Donald Glover, like, he was mentioning, like, before the season even aired, just about like how confident he was in the last few seasons of this show. Like, he said it was an interview, and he said, like, the last few seasons of this show are up there with the Sopranos, with some of the best shows ever. Like, he felt as though like this show is like that good, like in terms of the confidence that he has in this, because like obviously like it's a high level show, one of the best shows we had in years. What are your thoughts on his comments about just how good the show is, and just one of those things where it just seems like he knows, like, hey, I've got a great story, I've got a great narrative, and I'm confident in what we're putting out.
I love the confidence. And once you become a great writer and you're consistent in the writing, and you can come in a room with other writers and create like this incredible thing,
Yeah.
you have no other choice but to be confident in it. And you see the amount of respect and that the viewership is getting or saying about it. I've been waiting for season 3 from Atlanta for like 5 years. As soon as it came out, I was glued to. I watched every like I was like, yo, I don't get another episode till next week, bro. I think it's every Friday or Thursday. Every Thursday or Friday, I'm watching it.
I love that build up, man. That
I'm
anticipation. Yeah,
bro, it's crazy. Like I do think it's up there with Soprano. In any other, The Office, and it did it in short 3 seasons. That's incredible to do.
And he was saying, like, he said, I'm not trying to put myself over any show. I'm just saying we're as good as those shows.
Yes,
I'm giving a blanket statement. I'm crediting what those shows did, but our show is just as good.
Yes, and it checks the boxes. Funny, political subjects, music. Art, like it goes and checks the boxes of what makes a show good and have a great viewership. It checks the boxes. It has great actors. Like what's his name? What's his name?
Lakeith Stanfield.
Yes, Lakeith Stanfield. Thank you. I should have just pressed the other page. It would have popped up. Lakeith Stanfield.
He is such a talented actor. He
is. He brings
the way he has that dry sense of humor and just says something in a blanket statement way, but it's still effective. Like it's
it's looks.
Yes.
Remember we talked about Denzel Washington, how he just says the most horrendous. He's like, people just want to buy me drinks. I'm that guy, and then how he just looks like his body, like he knows that's relatable. So it's just like, it checks the boxes. It's definitely as good or even better than some of these shows that we put on a pedestal. It checks the boxes. It's highly anticipated. It has everything. Like they was talking about
missing anything.
It's not missing anything. It's not. It keeps you glued. It keeps you engaged. Like, this Atlanta. I'm sad that it's not going for season 4. I mean, not having another season after season 4, but this is gold, bro.
This is high level.
And I didn't think it was gonna be like this, but after season 2,
that was one of the main things I want to say, because there were as much as we liked the season, there was still criticism because people they wanted to see the original. They wanted to see season 1, season 2 follow up. They wanted to get that Atlanta feel. Obviously, this was in a different location. But what are your thoughts on some of the criticisms of the show trying something new, trying a different location, and people kind of wanting the core instead of some of the anthology episodes they did and trying to switch it up?
That's the inevitable, though. Like,
you're gonna get that
just like, okay, if we're going on the basis of what the show was about a following a rapper's life and his manager being his cousin, have a crazy friend.
Yeah.
When you start becoming a big time rapper, you're not just going to stay in one location. He had shows in Amsterdam and other countries. Duh. You have to expand the artist and the character. That's the only way you can do that. You can't
stay stagnant and keep doing the same thing, because people they're gonna check out eventually. Those people that were complaining, if they kept seeing the same thing, they'll be like, okay, I know, I can predict what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen in this episode.
Exactly.
You could not predict anything in this season.
Talk your stuff, Wellington. Talk your stuff. Because I couldn't predict none of it, especially when she was kissing on and framing people, and I'm like, what is she doing? Van,
my goodness,
what is you doing, man? When did you learn French? Like, she's only been there for like a month.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part. How do you get involved in this?
You've been there for a month, and this is all that you're getting into.
Like, that is crazy. Just wondering, and then like, it keeps you on your toes.
Yes.
Definitely. I don't understand why people are complaining about it. That's crazy. That's beyond me.
It's beyond me. And getting into kind of like our first topic, from 1 to 4 stars, what would be your your particular rating for this season, and just kind of like how you felt overall it did?
4. Easy. This is the easiest review I ever did. We already gave the reason why. I think it's a 4. Yeah, but it's consistent, and it continues to catch your eye. You cannot fathom or think of what's going to come next. You're not going to see the same thing you see in the previous episode.
Mm.
It's always going to be different, but it always ties back to each other.
The core theme, yeah.
That's why it's a 4. It, yo, from episode to episode 1 to the last episode, I'm like, bro, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know, but yeah, nah, it's definitely a 4 for me.
Definitely. I mean, I would go with that as well. I mean, there's just a lot of brilliant challenges and risks taken. You know, obviously, like, it was a bold move to not show the start the season off without any main characters, but how they were able to tie everything together. I mean, like, that. I just love the fact that he was able to make that. Donald Glover was able to take that type of risk to, like, start the season off. Like, I'm not even going to show you the main cast. I'm going to get into something different and still tie the theme in together, which is it's just brilliant work to be able to pull that off. And kind of getting into like looking at which characters development in this season you kind of like the most. Was there one that you felt as though like even was able to be elevated to a different status? Because to me, like Earn, he kind of showed like, hey, look, I'm not just managing somebody. I can do things on my own as well. I just don't have to you know, stay with Paperboy. Just, you know, be on, you know, on his trail all the time. I can just actually show what else I can do, get my own connections, and be able to go from there. But to you, like, which character in particular did you kind of feel like had like the best development in the season?
Man, it has to be Van.
She killed it.
It has to be Van because in season 2, we how she's left and it's unknown, and then she shows up in Amsterdam,
right?
And then just craziness. Then you end up with this, and then the last moment of reconciliation for her, or just like being transparent with her friend that she's had this seen in a long time about.
Yeah,
I dropped her. Like, I don't want to get into. I want to say that for, you know, when we get into the quotes, but just that in the scenes too. That moment just really summed her whole character up. The development from episode 1 when she wasn't really in, but the episode she was in, and just to see that it led up why she's acting this way. And I love that about her. I love that about her character. That her character was my favorite this year, or this season. We'll see season 4, but this season, her character, especially the last episode,
right up
bro.
there, man. Yeah, absolutely. And getting into, and also just like some of the best episodes, I kind of wanted to look back at too, because like to me, like the big payback, the episode 4, that was a really interesting episode because you know you have the man who sued a Tesla investor because his family enslaved the man's ancestors, and then influenced other Black people to find their descendants. Also, the old man in the tree, you know, following Paperboy and his crew. Attending the party of a British billionaire and paying for Al's company. And then the last one, Terrar, which I think we have to talk about even more, when you kind of see what Van had been getting all into, and just kind of like the differences of who she was becoming, and just kind of like her narrative arc was really interesting. But to you, like, were there any episodes or maybe like even particular scenes in this season that you kind of felt as though were the main standouts?
Definitely an episode with Paperboy and them trying to be advocates for the what it was, I guess, for the Black history or whatever, and they had all those people that's been in just stealing money, well, not stealing, but just accepting money and talking on behalf of the Black community. That happens all the time. I love that. And then how they took his idea and just like, bro, that ain't what I said. That ain't what I did. Like, what's going on? He was like, bro, you got a lot to learn. A lot to learn about that. About that episode was really good. The last episode, Terrar, and then the episode when I can't forget which one it was, when the white guy on their team actually stole his phone, but they thought the other guy did. And he knew all his stuff. He was like, man, I wrote that song about this girl. How you know that was in my phone? The whole time, the guy had his phone. I was like, oh, heck no. But somehow they found out about him because he wasn't in any other episodes, or with Paperboy, or with Lakeith Stanfield's character. But those two were a good one. In the first episode, I think the 3 slaps were really good. But nah, man. And then the old man in the tree. that was a good episode, what you mentioned, especially when he brought her to the restaurant, and then you come around and then you buy the restaurant from them, and you change. Like, bro, gentrification. They touch on everything, Wellington.
Yeah,
they touch on everything. Still, it's just bro.
But now getting into kind of like the memorable quotes of this particular season, where they're like, and looking at obviously the conversations between Ern and Van, they were able to have like just a lot of like, one-on-one kind of like inquisitive conversations about like, where was Van at, what was going on with obviously with their relationship, and then Paperboy and Ern, and just kind of like the discussions of where was where was Ern's, intentions and actual focus in terms of just him like not being as connected with the group. Like, were there any conversations, particular conversations or quotes in this season that kind of stood out to you?
Two stood out to me the most. The episode when he was hallucinating and going through this stuff or whatever. And then he heard his mom's voice. And the first part I can't remember. The second part was like, you got your cousin managing you and blah, blah, blah. Then he wakes up in the bed, and then Ern, he was like, you right? And then Ern was like, you all right, man? He was like, yeah, what happened? He was like, man, I found you on the street. He's like, you changed me? He's like, yeah. He's like, you need anything? He's like, nah. Like that moment, like he just knew, like, okay, Ern has my best interest, and he's not trying to take advantage of me. Like, but those thoughts in his head has always been there. And it's like, this thing is so relatable because I've had that moment too. Like, bro, are you really my guy? Like, or my homie? Like, do you really have my best interest in heart? Like, why am I questioning that? Normally I don't question that. And then you get the answer like, nah, he's solid. So I love that part. And then Van talking to her friend about why she's there, and just having that moment of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like driving her daughter to school. She got like tears in her eyes. Like, she like eyes went blank. She's in the street. Like, she's trying to run off the road and stuff, like going through those moments of like, just where you at in life. And I think that's relatable to everybody's been in that moment where like, yo, what am I doing? Like, what is my purpose? Yeah. Not like crazy of like, driving off.
That's always a tough question.
Yeah. Like, I think that's relatable. I think those two really stood out the most. There's some other ones, but those are one I remember the most because it was relatable to me because I've had those moments. So, yeah, man. Atlanta, man. Yeah, Atlanta got to get more credit.
It has
Atlanta's to. Dope. Yeah, Atlanta's dope.
It really has to, because I mean, like, even when we're talking about with Ern and Paperboy about that kind of questioning about, is one of your friends actually gonna be there for you throughout any situation? I think like that's one of the most relatable things you can find, because like there's always that point where you have a friend that you've known for years, but something switches in that dynamic. Maybe like, one disagreement, one argument, or just seeing things differently, and then you're wondering like, hey, like, how does this person actually think about me? And I feel as though seeing that development in terms of just when your back is against the wall, as Paperboy's was, and Ern was right there for him, that's when a friend really shows. And even in this show, I'm going to step up and take care of things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was definitely dope, definitely relatable. Yeah, man, they have so many moments like that in this this show, bro. It's just, it's tough to see it just wane away in the distance, but I think it's stamped and solidified. Yeah, man. We got to petition it. At least give us season 5.
At least give us season 5. Do you want to talk about the last episode and how bizarre that was?
First of all, why is she there to peel somebody? I'm sorry. She brought people with her too. It had to be lucrative. And then you just see Van, and I'm like, yo, what is Van? And then as a viewer, I'm like, yo, what is Van doing? Like, it really, like, really felt like that was my homegirl. And I saw like, bro, what are you doing? Like, cause I was thinking the same thing, like, Van, what are you doing? Like, why are you talking like that?
Yeah.
So that, bro, I'm telling you, it's not that many relatable shows from beginning to end where I would have been the same one. Like, bro, you're from Atlanta, right? You're from Pensacola. What are you doing? Like,
I was waiting. I was like, can we get the regular? Can we get the regular Van at some point?
Yes.
When is she gonna snap out of that?
Yeah, that whole episode. And then I was thinking the same thing. Why she got the bigot in her bag?
Oh my goodness, man.
It looked dry. She's not gonna eat it.
Definitely not gonna eat it.
Oh, he ate it.
Yeah.
Buddy ate it. Buddy definitely ate it.
Yeah, he definitely ate it.
He beat Buddy down to a pulp, bro.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Goodness,
and then just
even the way they closed out this season, man, like they and it would, you already know. We already know it was not going to end out with a normal, peaceful episode. It was not going to end out with like this. Okay, yeah, everybody's back. Everybody's ready to go into this last season. It had to end out with something bizarre and completely radical to make you think like, hey, what did I just watch? And when is season 4 coming? And they did that perfectly.
it gets you ready. Like, where do you go from here?
Where do you go from here?
Yeah, like we got the moment of her. Okay, she understands what she did, and she has a real moment with a friend. Yeah. And then, like, where do you go from here? Man. Where do you go? But yeah, after I saw them hands, I was like, yeah.
I'm gonna pass.
Oh, they made the hands. Pass. And then, why? she said her friend is dead. Yeah. She almost drowned the guy. Hey, I laughed for 5 minutes straight. I hear the
oh my goodness, man.
This has to be illegal to do this stuff on this TV, man. Oh, and she just had a proud moment like she's a superhero.
That's the thing. Some of these episodes you watch, like, man, is this even legal? Is this even
right? But that happens though. People eat stuff like that. Like, yo, but again, they touch so many things. And that's a thing.
Yeah.
People fly people out to do that. Dubai. They fly women out to do that on them instead of them. Like, it's crazy, bro. It is insane.
It's crazy, bro.
To be able to touch this many subjects.
The level of writing and intentionality. I just want to see like just one day where the whole writing team is together saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. Because I feel as though their writing sessions and their just brainstorming is crazy.
It's crazy.
There's just so much thought process going into this.
There's no dumb answer. There's no dumb scene. Like, how will we do this? Yeah, let's figure out how to do that. Just like, let's go for it. Yo, that's insane.
A room with writers where there's no dumb answer, man.
No, just like infamous, limitless ideas just flying. How about this? How about we have? I forgot her name already. Van. How about we have Van just turn into like a person in London? No. She French. She looks French. There's black French people there. So let's do French, and then she's gonna have a baguette. No, at first it was nothing. It probably wasn't a baguette, but it was like, let's put a baguette instead of a bat. So people be thinking like, why is she walking around with a baguette? Just like her character. Like, I know it's like that in that room.
It is exactly like that.
Oh, I just want to be a fly on the wall.
Definitely. And getting into kind of like, when you look at the particular storyline that you kind of like the most, obviously to me, them showing Black oppression in so many different spaces, just kind of like how that skill is relevant. Obviously, the Black identity in that one episode with Kevin Samuels, there were just so many things, especially with the Black community that was touched on. And I think Donald Glover, like he really covered all those bases. He was able to cover all those checkpoints and go into things that we question every day and we face every day. And to make it, like you said, a very relatable show. But to you, like, what storyline in particular did you kind of like the most in this?
To be able to drift off and to touch that many subjects without losing the grip.
That's tough.
That is extremely tough. To not to lose your viewership because your first episode was about something we've seen already, but you did it in a more comedic way, but it tied back into it because you think, oh, that's because how I thought of it, because it didn't resonate that Earn went through that. So then you thinking like, did Earn really do that? And then you go back like, oh, that's actually happened in real life.
Right.
So to be able to just like drift in different places and be able to still have that foundation of what the show truly is and to be able to stick it to, like, yo, that's no small feat. That's dope. That's extremely difficult. So yeah, man, to be able to touch that many subjects, especially the Black thing. Cause I think he went through that as probably growing up to identify himself with certain groups because he's considered nerdy in the black community. And you know, people in the black community.
That's another thing I wanted to say. He is considered that, and sometimes you get criticism for that in terms of just not being authentically black. What are your thoughts on that as well? Because obviously that identity for him is something that has to be. He probably has to wrestle with, like, what do black people think I'm actually black? Do they think, like, is he one of us? Because that's something he's probably wrestles with, like, you know, and really has to face as he's going into writing and directing these shows.
He's been asked that too. He said, I'm nothing without my people.
Yeah.
Like, I think in the black community, there's so many divisions in hierarchies that's in the black community that's not talked about. The light skin versus dark skin is definitely one of them. The alienation of not the typical black guy, like the nerdy guys, anime, people who talk proper, all that stuff. They alienate them in the black community. Yeah. So it's a lot of things that we don't talk about. That's, you know, discrimination and stuff that we have outside of the community. But what's about in the, like, I know a lot of nerdy kids.
There's some
yes. And certain type of women, black women, don't go for certain nerdy guys because they don't talk or walk or do certain things like the typical black guy. Not saying the typical black guy is bad, but just like there's a division when it comes to prototypical black guy and the nerdy guy and then the proper guy. Because I fell into being the proper guy because I didn't talk a certain way. Right. I can talk a certain way, but I choose to be a hybrid and know in the situations that you're in to play defense, because we're only allotted to play defense. But I rather speak proper because I know what it can get me into some rooms. Yeah, it was, hey, yo, folk, they're not going to invite me in that room if I talk with perfect vernacular and enunciate my words. Then I'm going to be able to maneuver in certain rooms. Yeah. So it's just the
even in my situation, being in a private school, being in a private school, and they were like, oh, like, well, you're the type of black guy we accept. That was just like, come on, how are you going to say that? Yes. Like a statement like that's not even a compliment. That's not even a compliment. You're just saying, oh, you're the type of black guy that I feel comfortable with, but most of them I don't like. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly what it means. And it's just that type of stigma and stereotype. It's not just in different communities, it's also within our community as well. Yes. And I think like this show was able to show that as well, particularly this season.
That's why I love it so much, and it had to bring Kevin Samuels in it. I love that he got that cameo. Yes. But that was, I think, the most important one, and it has to be talked about.
Yeah, that has to be the most important episode.
It has to be talked about. Yeah. Shout out to Childish Gambino, Atlanta, for talking about that subject that most people in our community won't talk about. Like Jordan Peele. Sorry, like Jordan Peele. They got on me because he married a white woman. He was like, man, all the black women said I was nerdy. They didn't want me. I'm gonna find somebody who's gonna love me. So like, it's like the craziest thing. Like, bro, come on. Like, what's going on? You
can't shy away from those topics. You can't shy away from them. They're right there for you on a daily basis. Everywhere you go, your workplace, if you're in school, like wherever you go, church as well. Yes. I mean, there's all these different places you have to think about who accepts me for who I am and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now kind of getting into, before we even get into like just final thoughts on this season, what are your expectations for like the last season? We both don't want it to end. No. But looking at what they did in this particular season and then going forward in season 4, how do you think they can put this thing together, and just what are you expecting from it in terms of how they close it out?
I'm thinking Ern and Van is going to get back together. Just from the previews for season 4 of them waking up in the same bed or camping or trying to make it work. That might be them trying to reconcile their relationship and get back together for their daughter. Paperboy, I don't know. Like, for his career, it seems like he's blowing up having these shows, but how do you top his character? How do you expand his character? I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to expand his character and grow his character more. We see different parts of his trust issues. That's cool, but how can you kind of cap his character from season 1 to now the finale of season 4? And then I want to see more of Darius. We get a little background on Darius and where he's from and his heritage. We get that snippet, like, give us more Darius, because he's the mysterious character.
Yeah,
and
he really
adds
is.
that to it. Yeah,
goes under the radar.
Yes, give us more Darius. I love the way they gave us his background slightly.
Yeah,
like give us Kenyan background. I think it's Kenyan or Nigerian. No, he's Nigerian. No. Is it Nigerian? I think he's Nigerian.
It's Nigerian. Yeah,
it's Nigerian. Yeah. So we get that background and how, like, stuff like that.
I would love to hear more of his story in season 4. If they showed that more, I feel like that would be the missing piece.
How do you even meet Paperboy?
That's what I want. He's just along the ride.
Yes, he's been there since season 1. Like, bro, that's just Darius. How did you meet this dude, and why are you still friends with him? Like, because he don't nowhere to be found. He be on his own journeys. But let's see. We got to finally see his journey. Or then he ended up at the same party. I think it was season 2. He ended up at the same party with Van.
Yeah,
because it was like, I wish Drake would, because Drake was supposed to be there or whatever. Yeah, and then Darius was just there outside chilling. He's like, Darius? He was like, yeah. Like, what? Where did you come from, fool? So we got to see some of his journeys, but I want to see more Darius. Yeah, more Darius. Yeah.
I mean, this show, like, just not even this season, it's had so many Hall of Fame episodes. Like, looking even at the totality of the show this season, and even like maybe in the first two seasons, like some of your other favorite episodes, like where do you think this season ranks within the overall series? And also, like, are there maybe 1 or 2 other episodes of this show that you still kind of remember and are standouts to you in this overall series?
Right now, this is number 1.
Oh, wow.
This season, first and foremost, it expanded and grew the characters. I think everybody in this season grew, and character development was an all-time high. Even Earn, Van for sure, Paperboy. We see more of his trust issues and what he's, his adolescence, and then we finally get a glimpse of who Darius is. And then you touch on so many topics and be able to, like, keep it together and not lose the audience because you're drifting to different places. I thought like we said, extremely difficult. I think this season 3, the writing team and everybody really got in that room and digged out a perfect season. I think this season was perfect. Really, really perfect. But I had this season 1, 2, season 2, 3, and then we'll see what season 4 does. I like.
I would have season 1 as season 1 first, 3, 2, and then 2 third. So I still, season 1 to me is still like the nostalgia of that of just where it all started and just getting things off. I feel as though it was really good. But this, in terms of the actual substance and the growth of every character, I mean, obviously, like, it is at a different level in terms of just what they were able to put together. So.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to, like, take away from season 1, but
like you said, the depth in every question they presented to you that you think about every day, but nobody wants to talk about, man. Like, bravo to the entire team.
And it was still funny, still engaging. Like, but season 1 was just like that too. It kind of, but I get what you're saying though. Yeah. Now I'm thinking about
I would love
season
to talk
1
to one of these cast members. And like if there's ever, like, people ask me, like, is there ever an interview you want? I was like, man, one of the cast members off Atlanta.
How did y'all do this?
I want to talk to you.
How did y'all pitch this? Like, knowing you pitched it for season 1, how did you know what you want to do? Or did you know what you want to do in season 2?
Did you actually know?
Was it just like a freak of nature? It was like, even the episode with the guy that looked like Michael Jackson, they said he was a real person. Like,
that
how do you
was
think about that? Man. Like, why do you want to do that?
That's an episode I would never forget. In terms of talking about episodes, I won't forget that. I will never forget.
That dude was creepy. That dude.
Man, like, when you watch, if you've never watched the show, listeners, if you watch that episode, that image of that guy will never leave your head. ever, because he literally looked like how Michael Jackson looked.
Yeah,
in his later
high
years.
cheekbones, and the voice was just oh gosh.
Oh my goodness, man. But look, season 4, September, we're gonna be talking about the show again. We're gonna be talking about the show again. Definitely, man. I cannot wait, because say what you want about this particular season and the differences in it. They did something different, and they went into depths that, I mean, just nobody could match this year to me. So fantastic season overall, for sure.
Yes.
Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Winter Burns, Lamar Jackson, Savon voice. This has been Full Scope.